as well. And now yes,
we're live.
We are live.
Later also.
Welcome to my Corona kitchen. This is going to be a very special event because we have here someone join me. Philip is going to interview me and asking me lots of good questions.
I'm gonna say hej alla läsare och tittare. Jag är här i Helsingfors med Sofie Oksanen. Vi har just fått den här Vi läser-sändningen live också och den här sänds också då alltså på Sofie Oksanens officiella Instagram. Så om ni har något problem med tekniskt eller någonting så kan ni också gå och kolla där ifall det händer något konstigt med den här sändningen. Då finns det 2 sändningar som man kan titta på. Nu ska vi gå in hit till Sofies kök för att sätta igång och vi kommer byta till engelska så att alla kan följa med, alla som tittar. Ja, men vi sätter igång, ja. All
Yes.
right.
Yes. And hello everybody also. I have very good memories from Vi läser because Vi läser has an excellent literary cruise and I joined that one a few years ago and it was so much fun. Hopefully I can join you for the literary cruise again, but before that we are going to do some serious Easter baking.
I'm looking forward to this. I don't know what you're gonna be making, but so we're gonna stand like this, and I hope the sound is good. And
if not, tell us,
please. So I was thinking maybe, first of all, could you tell us a bit about where we are right now, and what it has to do with your writing?
This is the kitchen in my writing den. So. Just not very far from this kitchen, I'll be doing that literary magic.
Is it over the table?
Yeah, over the table. But this is the kitchen, and last year I came up with the idea of Corona kitchen. Corona kitchen because, there are plenty of different reasons. One reason is that, everybody was stuck at home. And now again it's time for lockdown, and when I was last year when I went to the grocery I noticed that all the canned food had disappeared. And I guess I don't know, was it the same in Sweden?
I don't know, I've been here locked in Finland for a year.
Yeah,
but I guess so. But you like canned food?
Well, not especially, but I was thinking that poor people, now they have tons of tuna and crushed tomatoes at her home, and they are going to be very bored with it. So that's when I came up with the idea, okay, why not, offer some, I don't know, if not inspirations, then perhaps new ideas for the canned food, staple food, and food with a long shelf life. And I like cooking myself, and I was thinking, then why not, try to do something to compensate all the cancelled and postponed literary events, because there's plenty of me. I mean, I was supposed to travel the whole last year, and of course I didn't, and it looks bad also for this year as well. So I thought something need to be done to compensate all the cancelled events. So I thought, why not cooking and talking and some book talk to go with it? Because what could be a better way to spend your lockdown than cooking and reading?
Yeah, that's what I've been doing also.
Yeah.
And so we're gonna be here for about 45 minutes, and I'm gonna see what somebody's saying. Anything seems like there's no complaints about sounds or anything. I hope everything is good. So Sophie. This is going to be like an Easter special. That's what we decided when we talked on the phone. So what is Easter for you? Was Easter a big thing in your family when you were growing up?
Holidays are holidays, and holidays are always kind of fun. Well, I also liked reading when I was a child, so I always thought holiday as something that means reading, time to read. But one of the Easter traditions we had at home, and that's thanks to my Estonian heritage, is dyeing eggs with onion skins. And that's a typical Eastern European thing as well, not only Estonian thing. My mother is much better at this one, but I made few ones just for you. So these are, marbled onion skin eggs, polished with some olive oil. And if you want, this is very simple. If you want to do this at home, so very super easy. But you do need lots of onion skins. So if you want to dye eggs with onion skins, start preparing now.
So it's red onion.
A red onion, but
Yeah.
the more colors you have, the better. So in that way, yellow, but red of course gives the best color.
We used to do this also with my grandmother. I was reading today about Easter in Ukraine.
Yeah.
because we're going to be
Yes.
talking about Ukraine today, and apparently this red color symbolizes the blood of Christ.
Yes.
For the Orthodox Church.
Yeah.
But I mean, that was nothing my grandmother told me when I was younger. But I mean, it makes sense.
It makes sense, and now I'm gonna be baking a cake that is a very simple cake as well. It's not traditionally Eastern European thing, even though the dog park, Hundparken, which came out in Swedish, just translated by Janina Orlov, came out in Sweden in February. It's about Ukraine, so we do have some Ukrainian things here as well, like for example this beautiful egg. This I bought from here, and also some other wooden eggs to celebrate the Christmas, which is the biggest holiday or celebration in Orthodox countries. But these are from Belarus. Belarus is a lovely country struggling now with many things. I do hope things get better to all our Belarusian friends. But the reason why I'm gonna bake this particular cake today, and I'll be sharing the recipe later on with you as well, is that a typical Finnish Easter thing is a quark tart or quart pie. I don't know what it would
There was
be.
somebody on Twitter asking about this today, and they said, "Why aren't we making? Or is she gonna make mammi?"
I hate mammi.
Should we?
I don't like
should we
mammi.
explain what mammi is?
Mammi is
It's like a pudding made of rye flour.
yes, and it doesn't look nice. So therefore, I don't think it's a good idea to do anything with mammi.
You eat it with double cream.
Yeah.
And I must say, I haven't eaten it maybe 10 years myself.
I don't think I have ate mammi since I left school.
Okay.
Because at school we always had it for years.
There's gonna be somebody who is angry here, a Swedish person who loves mammi.
Mammi.
But mammi is, I mean, there's some kind of Persian dish which is apparently very similar to mammi, and it's these only two dishes in the world that are.
Okay. But perhaps I want to try the Persian version because Persian,
and it's not made of rye. I think it's
something else.
Yeah.
Okay, but anyway, the typical Finnish Easter pie is a quark pie or quark tart, and it's also popular in Estonia. It's very typical Estonian. But now I'm gonna make the Italian version of it because we can't travel to Italy, so we have to create a little Italy at home. So that's why I'm gonna go for ricotta cheese. The ricotta cheese is excellent for baking, and those of you who don't know ricotta, then it is simply this kind of white thing. So you're gonna need like 300 grams for this one. And the reason why I'm gonna make, or why I think this is a very good, Corona kitchen recipe to share with you is that it requires no rolling of the dough, and there's no need to use a mixer. I'm pretty sure that those of you who are not very comfortable with the pie crust, I know that there are plenty of people who prefer buying it from the store because they think it's somehow difficult. But this one is especially for you because trust me, it's much better than anything you get from the store. But it's also very simple. You don't even. I mean, there's butter, 180 grams of butter, and you don't need to. Cold is fine, so you don't need to make sure that it's room temperature. Cold is totally fine. Then we are gonna have some flour, and then we are gonna have some baking powder. And we are gonna mix the baking powder with the flour, and then we are gonna have some sugar, 1.5 deciliters of sugar, and we are going to put all of them together in this big bowl, and then we are going to just make it into a dough. And it doesn't. You don't even have to have the. In quite many recipes, they will say that you have to have like a. You have to roll it into a ball. Yeah, use a mixer and then roll it into a ball. But you don't have to do this.
But you're doing like all the great cooks. You're doing it with your hand. You're using your hands. When
I do. Yeah. But I do have a very good mixer. So if you are wondering if you haven't succeeded in doing some dishes, then it might be because you have a wrong mixer.
You told me earlier that you like baking, but you don't like kneading the dough.
No.
And it has something to do with your writing.
Yeah. It's not good for wrists. So if you are working with your hands a lot, then you have to take care of your wrists. So that's what I'm trying to do. And then we are going to add into this dough one yolk. Only one. Now I actually should have put the vanilla before, but it doesn't.
Vanilla extract.
Yes, vanilla extract. One yolk, not the white, only the yolk. And it's about that. This is very simple because it is supposed to look rustic. So it doesn't matter if it has no clumps here. So this is totally fine. Yeah.
So your family, your mother is from Estonia.
Yeah.
And your father was Finnish.
Mm-hmm.
And so what did that mean in terms of like food that you ate at home? That was there something different to the typical Finnish cuisine or the Finnish kitchen that your friends ate? Was there something Estonian about?
Sour
okay.
Taste. Could you please open
this? So like sour cream and...
Sour cream, yes, and we are going to use sour cream as well for this one. And if you could open this one for me as well. And we are going to use the famous Estonian liquor for this one.
I can show and you can...
Yeah, please.
So this is Vana Tallinn, the stuff you can buy if you go to Estonia, and I guess also in Alko here in Helsinki. So where did you cook when you were younger?
No, but my mother is an excellent cook, but she thought that it's better for a young girl to read.
Okay, so so you were encouraged to read. There was like art was a thing that was good.
Yes.
Were they cultural, your parents?
Estonian culture respects literature.
Yeah.
It does respect now as well because it's definitely important for Estonian identity, but also of course when I was born and when I was young, then Estonia was still under Soviet occupation, so it was very important for the identity, for the language. It was also a form of passive resistance. I remember once visiting Iceland, and there was this. Actually, it was a Icelandic politician who said that, well, culture is our best defense. And I think that also goes for the Estonia as well, because without culture you don't have the identity, and of course that would mean the destruction of the language, and during the years of Soviet Union, Russification was of course a problem and also a threat to Estonian culture and the language. So in that way, that was books were definitely against that.
But I mean, you can see it in Finnish literature also, that Finnish authors, also young authors, are pretty like obsessed, or at least a lot of young writers also write about Finnish history, because it's like an ongoing thing to sort of to make your own identity, or to figure out who you are, things like that, which I think it's different from Swedish literature that I read.
I have. It's good to use for this one springform, but others are fine as well. Well, yes, I have been quite often asked if I write about recent past because of Estonia, and of course that's an excellent reason to write about recent past. But when we think about Finland and Finnish cultural life, then definitely historical fiction has always been popular in Finland. I mean, when you think about, for example, sales of authors like Kaari Utrio or Laila Hirvisaari, huge bestsellers in Finland. I think Laila Hirvisaari alone has sold over 4 million copies in Finland, in the country of a little bit over 5 million inhabitants. So that's pretty amazing. And she writes about Karelia, the lost Karelia, and our recent past. So I think for Finland, writing about the recent past has been also very important culturally. But also because during the years of Finlandization, it wasn't that easy to talk about history. Let alone the Karelia we lost to Soviet Union and then Russia. So in that way, Karelia still existed, but existed in literature and in art.
The thing that I really like about your books, and I appreciate, is that you put Finland sort of in a European context. Because what happens usually is that you have a writer who writes about writes a historical novel, but it's always within the borders of their own country. Very often, if it's not like a big European novel. But in your books, we are always moving across borders, and it's also very often it's history, but also some kind of a very recent event or something. We're almost always on two levels in most of your books. But the cross-border, like the Eastern European cross-border thing, is very often a thing in your books.
Yes, well, and now with the dog park, we are in Ukraine, and even though it's a contemporary story, I cannot escape having the recent past present as well. So in that way, it's also about the same themes.
Maybe you can say about your. I mean, if I look back at your books, but the crossing of borders is usually done in some way which is not always so legal. You're writing about people smuggling people. You're writing about stuff that has to do with what's happening under the the official stuff. Like in this book,
Yeah. Here we have the fertility business, which operates also on the gray area. So of the human mind and on the gray area of the business world as well. Collapse of Soviet Union offered a very fruitful soil, good ground for all sorts of hazy business, human trafficking, sex trafficking, corruption, and that period of time also was the time when the oligarchs of today made their fortune. In that way, the collapse of the empire led to the economic crimes of today, which are also affecting our world today. Let alone then the climate problems. I mean, Soviet Union didn't care about the nature, and we are still paying the price. Or actually, Finland is paying most of the money. Most of the money trying to clear the water, for example, because nature doesn't care about the borders of a state. So Estonia is paying that price as well. Actually, all Eastern European countries are paying the price of that. So in that way, the recent past does affect our world today, but definitely unstable society offers very good possibilities for all sorts of crime, and crime doesn't know the borders of the state either. So in that way, that's the cross-border crime is.
Yeah, so in this book, in the beginning of the book, we meet Olenka, who is sitting in a dog park in Helsinki. It's 2016, and she is sitting in the park watching not the dogs, but she's watching a family, a Finnish family who is out there with their two parents with their kids, and it's not any family. It's a certain family she is watching, and then soon we learn, and this is not a spoiler, that she has a connection to this family and their children. And speaking of climate, there's one thing which is interesting here is with the surrogate motherhood business in Ukraine. One of the things that they do, these agencies, is that they sell the women who they have in their catalogs. They have these different kinds of things that they try to sell them with, like, for example, this woman is from a very beautiful village where everybody eats vegetables and it's very clean and everything is like somewhere in like a fairy tale or something like that. And that was something that you apparently read about when you were researching this, that it's really crazy ways that they try to, in Ukraine, to market these women.
It's pretty surreal. I was going through different marketing brochures, for example, which they had, and one of their selling points was, one of the agencies did have a selling point saying that Ukrainian women are so healthy because they eat so clean food, because everybody is growing their own vegetables in Ukraine. And of course that's of course true, because most Ukrainians do have some sort of garden, or at least they have a relative who has, or at the dacha they have a garden. So in that way, that's true that they do have a garden where they grow vegetables and tomatoes, and of course everything grows in Ukraine amazingly. But in a way, it was very weird to see it as a selling point. That, okay, that these are so healthy women because they eat healthy food. And then, of course, when you think about the pollution in Ukraine, then
there's a lot of mining cities and a lot of pollution.
Yeah.
But I'm
going to show you the dough. Now I am going to put this. This will be the crust. So you don't need to roll the dough at all. There's nothing. You don't need a mixer. You just have the crumbly. It can be like a rustic, like this. And the more you have chunks, the better, actually. So.
And so what are you doing now? You're putting it in the crust in the oven now.
Yes, I'm putting the crust here, and you don't need to press it. It's good that it will be like rustic. It will. And I have preheated the oven as well to 180 Celsius. And the only thing I did actually yesterday was that I'm gonna use raisins. So if you don't like raisins, you don't have to use them, but I love raisins, so therefore I'm gonna have the raisins. Yesterday I did put some rum in them. So they have been soaking in rum for 24 hours. And that's the only thing I did before. And of course, if you don't use alcohol, you can skip the alcohol and use, let's say.
Is it typical to put alcohol in like different kinds of baking in
I do.
From where you come from? It's
I
really
do.
sweet. You have had a lot of sugar, and then you had this. This smells very like sort of sweet liquor.
It is sweet. Vana Tallinn is excellent for all sorts of things you bake. It's very good. It's of course, if you use a sweet liquor, then you can you don't need that much sugar. So that's one thing. But it has a very special aroma, and pretty much whatever you're doing. But if you are going to use rum and it's sweet, then you can use Vana Tallinn as a substitute if you happen to have it.
I know that you travel a lot during normal years. Is this something that you've had on your different kinds of like tours in the region, Italy, or?
I think so, yes, because I remember this very nice. They have these ricotta cannellonis in Italy, and they are absolutely wonderful. And the sweet ones with chocolate chips.
Yeah.
And of course Italians would use ricotta and mascarpone, and I've tried this one with mascarpone as well, and it's not bad at all. It's actually good, but I think sour cream is always the best solution to all cooking. So I'm using sour cream.
And I think sour cream. I was wondering about that. When you say sour cream, what are you buying in the shop in Finland? Is it kermaviili or is it crème fraîche?
It is sour cream. Is definitely this is Estonian. It's a Finnish company called Delicious. But it comes from Estonia. So this is a real, tastes like real Estonian sour cream.
What is the fat percent? I think that's probably where it differs in different countries.
20.
20. There's something called syrad grädde in Sweden, but I'm not sure what the percent there. But syrad grädde means hapa kerma, so it should be the same.
Well, of course, if you don't have the real sour cream, you can use also crème fraîche, but it's not as good. So.
And there's also the thing that they call smetana here in Finland. You said it's not the right stuff.
The Finnish smetana is not the right stuff. But if you go to Russia, then if you see a smetana, then it's the right stuff. So,
okay.
But the fat percent is the.
So it's 20. That's 20, the most important thing.
20.
So I wanted to ask a bit about your writing. I mean, you said that you had that thing from home that books were important, reading was important. When did it start for you? When the whole thing, with wanting to write yourself?
I learned to read when I was 6, and also I learned to write at the same time. And that's when I also wanted to have a diary. And I have no idea actually why I wanted to have the diary, but it felt very important. And I don't know, perhaps I'd seen a movie where a girl is writing a diary or something like that.
Was it a certain movie or?
I don't know. It just, I was really persistent about the diary thing. And then I'm going to add some sugar to it as well.
So sugar in the sour cream.
Sugar in the ricotta sour cream mix and 1 egg. And then the raisins. Soaked in rum. And the thing about this cake is that if you use the alcohol, if you soak the raisins in alcohol, then actually you can, of course, the crust is best when you on the same day you bake it. But if you have alcohol in it, then of course that means that the taste is even better the next day. But yeah, when I had the diary, I started to, of course, at the time the diary was pretty much about the everyday.
This is the vanilla extract.
Vanilla, a little a drop of that, and then I just add the raisins, and that's it. But I wrote my first stories, I think, when I was 7. And
they were about
some, adventures or fairy tales. I remember one story was about a skating mouse. Already then I understood that I wanted to be an author, but it's very difficult to say why did I want to be an author. It just somehow felt like a thing to do, but I don't know why. There's no.
Were there other people in Jyväskylä when you went to high school or yläaste högstadiet? Were they like also writing, or were you like an outcast, or what was your social status in the?
Well, I didn't have.
Jyväskylä is like a hockey town, isn't it?
It is,
yeah.
But also Jyväskylä likes to call itself as a Athens of Finland, because it's a school city. They had old girls' schools and lots of. It's a school. It's still a school city, university of course, and so on. But at the time, I think the profile was most about these sports. But I don't know if Matti Nykänen is known also in Sweden.
Yeah, the ski jumper Matti Nykänen.
Because he's from Jyväskylä, and well, he was a big star when I was a child. When I was at the kindergarten, he visited our kindergarten, and
there was another one called Toni Nieminen,
yeah.
And he came to our school, but he was a few years later. I remember having like a small soda bottle with his autograph on.
Yeah, I think something tells about Finland. And we didn't have authors coming to kindergarten, but we did have athletes.
We did actually have authors.
You did?
Not so much in kindergarten. We did have in I was just thinking about that the other day. We had in high school, in gymnasium, we did have. I come from Jakobstad, which is a bilingual city, Swedish and Finnish, and there's quite a few authors from that town, like Lars Sund, who was very big in the 90s as an author, and he wrote these historical novels also.
Now you might wonder how I'm going to. Let me show you.
So you did not pre-cook it in the
No,
oven? No,
it doesn't require pre-cooking. And this is, I just put the crumble here, and now I'm gonna put the filling. I just spoon it here. So
I'm gonna see if we have any questions here.
Yeah.
I don't know. Somebody asked if we might move the camera if it's uncomfortable, but I think it's pretty difficult to move it. But I feel like it's not so.
It's not uncomfortable for us, but I don't know if it's uncomfortable for you.
If somebody is wondering about social distancing here, I have to tell you that I got a negative corona test today, because I had this really crazy possibility to meet these corona dogs that they use at the airport in Finland, where you have these dogs who are trained to sniff COVID.
Yes.
And I was doing an article about these today, and I asked if I could be tested at the same time, and then I was tested and I got negative result. I was a little bit anxious for about 5 seconds when I was waiting for the dogs because they do this thing where they sniff different tests.
Yeah.
And there's one positive there, and then the rest are negative. And one of mine was also there, and then the dog was looking at the different samples, and it sort of stayed at my sample for like a few seconds. And I was like, this is gonna be terrible. But I was freed, and I could come here today.
But maybe corona dogs might give a solution to our problem with events.
Absolutely, yeah. They say that it might be possible to to use them in culture events and at theaters and concert halls.
So maybe our future lies in the paws, on the paws of the corona dogs.
Which gets us to the topic of your book.
Books, yes.
Hundparken, which I wanted to ask about that. The title of the book is Hundparken, and there is some kind of symbolism to dogs in the book. You said that one of the things is which Olenka thinks about in the beginning of the book, that she's sitting in a park where people treat their dogs better than they treat humans in some parts of Ukraine, and then there's the other point, which is that dogs sort of represent how we treat animals. You said it sort of represents says something about the society. Yeah,
there are no really dog parks in Ukraine, so the Nordic dog parks are kind of, you know, special from the point of view from many countries, and one thing, for example, which what I remember from the 90s is that after the Soviet Union collapsed, then people certainly started to have more dogs than before, and even the people who didn't like dogs, they started to have dogs. And especially dogs for guarding purposes. So in a society where you cannot trust the police, for example, and you cannot trust the authorities, then you have to take care of your own security, and that's where when dogs come to the picture, well, we are used to dogs as our, you know, pets and family members, but they don't have the same purpose in countries where you have to take care of your own security.
And also like the wild dogs. If you live somewhere where there's wild dogs, you have a certain ambience around you because you can hear the dogs.
Yes.
All the time.
Yeah. And there are a lot of stray dogs also in Ukraine, and that's one difference compared to Finland, for example. And the why they have the stray dogs is also a question about the
it's stray dogs, not wild dogs. I think wild dogs is something very different.
Yes, so actually I think we can start to call the dogs in the Chernobyl area, I think we might start to call them wild dogs actually, because they have been wild for quite a long time.
For generations. So.
Yes, and now I'm gonna show you how I have put the filling here. I don't know if you can see it. And now I'm gonna put the crumble, that is the crust, also on top of it. So the filling will be inside the ricotta filling, and now I'm gonna, you know, just put the crumble on top of it.
And that's it then?
That's it then.
Okay.
This is simple, and then I just put it in the oven. And hopefully I remember to...
So how long is it in the oven?
Around 40 minutes, but it depends on your
that means
oven.
that you're not going to be able to see the finished
Yes,
product.
But we'll send a picture, and then you can also, you know, decorate it, this one with the...
Let's see if we have anything.
Chocolate eggs, if you want to, for example, or something else. But this is super simple.
If I look at all your books, there's something that comes back all the time is that you're dealing with how like power in different ways is affecting the female body.
Yeah.
Not only women, but the woman body is like something that comes back and back, and it's in this case it's also about how I guess we have these new technologies like you can do surrogate motherhood, but it doesn't necessarily mean that technology is always on our side, or at least not. It's not something that is very necessary, like good for like the the equality of people.
Unfortunately, no. It seems like that, criminals are always ahead.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that really kind of it was something that when the story started so that I came across this fact that Ukraine has unusually liberal family code. And the legal system is so liberal when it comes to the surrogacy and fertility business. And I started to wonder why. Now over the writing process, I understood that criminals are always ahead of us. They are much faster than the
lawmakers.
Yeah, and that's something that we should be more aware of, because the medicine is and research is making progress all the time, but so are criminals. I mean, they are not stupid. And now you can see, this is what it looks like. So the crumble will be on top. Here you can see. And now I'm going to put it into the oven. And that's it. That is very simple and good. And I will share you the recipe later on so that you won't forget. If you don't forget, if you don't remember everything, I just put it in the cake. But yeah, it's really frustrating. I mean, it would be lovely if we could be ahead of all the exploiters and criminal minds, but we are not. And as we can see also.
There's this cliche that technology is driven by the porn industry.
Yeah.
But it's a bit like that.
Yeah. And well, of course, it also offers a lot of help for people, of course, but at the same time, it also offers possibilities for some really nasty action.
But you said in interviews that you're not like categorically against the surrogacy as an idea.
No, definitely not. I mean, it does, of course, offer a lot of help and relief for people who wish to have a baby but cannot have the baby. But we should take care of the rights of the women involved in the business, that is the donors and the surrogates, and of course the children that are born out of this system. And of course we should also have the international monitors, someone watching over and also offering some legal assistance, for example, because I mean, those women are not involved in the business, or they are not becoming surrogate mothers or donors because they have money or that they could afford to hire a lawyer. They become surrogates and donors because they don't have money, and we should offer them some legal assistance, definitely. And also it would be important to gather some information about the health effects on women's bodies, of course, as well.
What is the discussion in Ukraine? I'm going to see about this. I mean, I think that this year with Corona, this last year, it has also affected the whole industry in Ukraine.
It definitely did, because it made it more visible. It made it more visible because certainly because of the lockdown, the international lockdown, they had lots of newborn babies waiting for their intended parents.
And that was Finnish and Swedish parents, for example. Couldn't fly to Ukraine.
Couldn't fly to Ukraine to get the baby, get their babies, and the pictures showed like rows of newborn babies, and that of course hit the headlines as well. But it made it visible in a way that politicians have started to talk about the industry in Ukraine, and well, we'll see what happens, if anything happens, but at least there's more awareness on political level. But of course I don't know if it's
but the church
what does it actually mean.
This church is pretty strong there.
Yeah.
And I was thinking also today, and this is going to be a jump to the topic,
Yeah.
but if we would do this very strictly Ukrainian, this Corona kitchen, we wouldn't be making anything, we would be fasting right now. Because I think...
That's true,
I think that's if you're very strict to sticking to the traditions of the Ukrainian Easter.
Yeah.
But I don't know how common it is anymore there to do the whole fasting thing.
I don't know. Perhaps someone of our audience knows. Then please do share your knowledge of how many Ukrainians are fasting, or how many Orthodoxes are fasting in Finland. I'm afraid my Orthodox friends are not fasting.
I think everybody wants to know something about what you are going to do next, or what you're doing right now at the table, that is, when you're not cooking.
I'm working on a new novel, of course, but I won't say a word about that. Okay. I am pretty excited about it, but what does bother me is, of course, that I cannot travel for research, because it would be also always lovely, to be able to travel to the locations you're writing about.
You do a bit of Google Maps researching. You told me earlier that also in this book there is some. Yeah. Because
you can nowadays Google Maps offers you possibility to drive, to the places you might not go otherwise. So. That's a good tool, but it's not enough. It doesn't have the nature. It doesn't have the feeling of the wind, for example, or how loud the wind is, for example. And of course, you cannot smell or hear.
Yeah. And that's something that you do very well. I was reading a review of this book in Sweden, in Aftonbladet, and it was praised for the sense and the smells, and how you can get the Ukrainian spring wind and everything. That you're very present when I'm reading your books.
Well, thank you. I try to. I think nowadays we do have so many excellent TV shows and movies about just about you can travel through movies and TV shows everywhere, and also travel through time, and you can see the locations, cities, dresses, and so on, but you cannot taste it, and you cannot smell it, and that is where the...
And unfortunately, nobody can also taste
nobody can taste the cake in the oven, but that's where the literature actually beats the screen, and that's something that is going to,
There's this Swedish kids show that I was watching when I was small, and when he was making food, this guy, I think it was maybe Hike. You will know who are watching the Vileser feed. He was always saying, "I wish there would be smell TV," and this is exactly right now. I wish you could smell everything through the camera.
Well, perhaps technology will someday give us smell TV as well. But at this moment, I think literature is a winner. When it comes to the respecting all five senses. So I think literature is the winner. But I think we have to wrap this up.
Yeah, I think so. So, thank you very much, and thank you for watching. This was a new experience.
This was actually, I think this was the
first... I said it was my first live,
First live for Philip, and I am going to share the recipe with you, and Philip might taste the cake, and then you can be, the judge. Judge it if it's worth it or not, and I will share the recipe as well. And of course, I've been so busy, so I haven't had really time to stream more Corona Kitchen, but hopefully we are going to do this again. Happy Easter.
Happy Easter.
Hey.
Now
Hey.